Here are 3 things I'm excited about and 3 things I'm worried about for EA Sports College Football 25. We've gotten a lot of good news about this video game that's coming out soon, but there's also several things that kind of worries me about this video game, so we're going to talk about that in this video. So the first thing I'm excited about for College Football 25 is recruiting. EA has said multiple times that Dynasty is the focus of College Football 25, which is a good thing, and going along with Dynasty, obviously a huge part of that is recruiting. And from my interview with Matt Brown 6 months ago, he said that EA is working hard to have like a feedback loop within the recruiting system that really makes you feel connected to these recruits, and it's rewarding when you secure a commitment from them. So obviously we don't have specifics of recruiting in College Football 25. We don't have specifics of too much of anything, but it sounds like EA is working really hard to make Dynasty and specifically recruiting a really good in-depth feature. And I love that idea from Matt Brown of feeling connected to these recruits, because that is something that I think maybe the video games in the past kind of lacked. Obviously, there were good recruits that I wanted to grab, I wanted to snag, I wanted to steal from other teams. But at the end of the day, I didn't really feel connected to them. I wasn't like, pulling really hard to get this guy. It was like, if I don't get this guy, whatever, there's someone else I can grab. But if EA can somehow develop a system that makes me really feel like I know these recruits, and that if I'm a small school, hey, this 4-star I might grab might completely change the trajectory of this program, like that is the type of system in recruiting that I want. Basically, I want recruiting to be as close to real life as possible. Like I want to have to make the visits to these players and them to come to me as well. I want to make, the phone calls. Social media is a huge part of recruiting now that probably wasn't when NCAA 14 was out. That would be really cool to see as well. NIL obviously is a huge thing now. We know that it's going to be in the game. We don't know to what extent, but that'll be interesting to see in recruiting as well. And I feel like from everything we've heard surrounding this game, from different reports and different leaks, it sounds like EA is going to great lengths to make Dynasty and recruiting really, really good. All right, so moving into the worried about category, probably the first thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about what I'm worried about for this game is microtransactions. We know Ultimate Team is going to be in the game. We know microtransactions are going to be in the game. Now, exactly how is that going to play out? And I'm excited for all the college football legends we're going to get to see, especially in Ultimate Team mode. I'm hoping those legends are in other game modes as well. I hope you can just do a play now with them. I hope maybe you can flip a switch setting and they're in Dynasty mode, as recruits or whatever. Those would be cool features. But regardless, I am excited for college football legends, even if it's in Ultimate Team mode. And I've said this before, Ultimate Team is not inherently bad. It was in NCAA 14 and nobody complained about it then, but we didn't know at the time that microtransactions were just going to get bigger and bigger to the point where EA puts a ton of focus on that because they make so much money, and they start neglecting other game modes because they're simply focusing on microtransactions within Ultimate Team. So that's probably my number one worry for College Football 25, is that the same thing happens and it's just another EA Sports video game filled with microtransactions and pay-to-win garbage. So no need to explain this one too much. Obviously, I think that's probably a big concern for all of us. The second big thing I'm excited for in College Football 25 is the level of detail. I would say this is probably the number one most positive thing I've consistently heard throughout the years as they've been developing this game, is just how much detail and attention to detail they're putting in this game. Like from all the reports, it sounds like each stadium's going to have its own feel and own atmosphere. You're going to be able to tell the difference between Beaver Stadium and Bryant-Denny Stadium and the Swamp. Like you're going to be able to feel the emotions and the presence and the pageantry of these stadiums. EA has repeatedly said that they're trying to hammer down what makes college football so special in this video game. It's supposed to feel like college football. It's not supposed to feel like, Madden or the NFL or just football in general. It's supposed to feel like college football. And Matt Brown has said that the level of detail within the jerseys goes further than he even thought it would after getting more FOIA reports with, all these assets that teams have submitted. He said this stuff is crazy how much they've submitted and how much EA is telling them they're going to put in the game. And I think that might be what gets me the most excited for this video game. It's going to be 11 years since we had the last one. just the updated graphics and the attention to detail and the thoroughness that's going to be in this video game is going to be amazing. So the next thing I'm worried about, and it's probably, I would assume, the number one thing most people are worried about, is the gameplay. Now, I think most people are probably worried about this because they're worried it's just going to simply be a Madden reskin, but I don't think it's going to be a Madden reskin. I truly think it's going to be a unique experience, a completely different game from Madden. Matt Brown has said that if it sucks, it's going to suck on its own merit and not because it's anything like Madden. And that's kind of the same boat I'm in. I'm worried it might suck, but not because it's going to be a Madden reskin. So gameplay is probably the most important thing in general because when you hop onto the game, obviously you just play the actual football video game, like playing a game with two different teams. That's probably obviously the most important thing, especially for the casual fan. And so while I don't think the gameplay is going to be a Madden reskin, it is going to be interesting to see what they do because they are creating a whole new style of gameplay for college football 25. Like, college football plays differently than it did 11 years ago, so it can't just simply be the same type of gameplay that NCAA 14 had. And as EA has said themselves, it can't simply just be a Madden reskin because college football is way different than NFL football. So part of this excites me because it'll be, like I said, a unique experience. It won't be a Madden reskin, but what are the chances that they just end up creating a new gameplay system and it's really, really bad? I'm hoping they can somehow somewhat capture the feel of NCAA 14, but also kind of reinvent it and rejuvenate it and make it better. I was playing NCAA 13 not too long ago, and man, like, that game is really fun, especially when it comes to Dynasty and Road to Glory and all that. But in my opinion, that gameplay is significantly worse than NCAA 14. Like, the improvement they made from 13 to 14 was really big, in my opinion. And so I'm hoping that they don't create a new gameplay and it takes a step back. Like, we're 11 years into the future since NCAA 14. The gameplay should be getting better, smoother, less clunky. And that's how NCAA 13 felt like, in my opinion, compared to 14. Like, 13 felt super clunky and almost robotic, where 14 felt way more fluid and smooth, and I'm hoping college football 25 is going to be even better than that. But I'm slightly worried what they do with it. So my number 3 thing for excited about is real players. Obviously, we've never had real players in the past college football video games, and I think it's going to be super, super fun playing with them in college football 25. And I get so many people on Instagram saying, like, who cares? After 3 or 4 years into Dynasty mode, they're all going to be gone. And that's true, but again, like, you have to consider the casual fan because EA makes most of their money from the casual fan. So the casual fan is probably buying this game just so they can play with their favorite team and the real life players, and maybe they can play against their buddy who has their favorite team, and then, you know, they can go at it and have fun. And like, if that's what you're buying the game for, real life players is massive. That's going to make the game so much better. And although that's not why I'm buying the game, like, I would consider myself more than a casual fan, but I'm still going to definitely hop on and play a play now with my friends, like online or even when we're together in the same room. Like, you know, playing with Caleb Downs at Ohio State and Jalen Milroe at Alabama and playing with Jackson Dart at Ole Miss. Like, all these guys, that is going to be so much fun playing with those dudes against your friends' guys. It'll just be a cool new feature that we'll get that we didn't have 11, 12, 13 years ago, especially with the roster updates throughout the season. That's going to be super cool when some random freshman starts popping off at a school, they can, you know, bump his rating up throughout the year, which they couldn't do 11 years ago. So the last thing I'm worried about is Road to Glory. And I know that might sound weird to some of y'all, but let me explain. Most career modes in modern college football video games suck, in my opinion. Like, my career in 2K, and I think it's Superstar mode in Madden, those game modes I'm kind of so tired of because they've made them so much about this weird, stupid storyline that most people don't care about, and they force you to watch these dumb cutscenes. Like, it takes away from the fact that I'm just trying to play and level up my player. Now, don't get me wrong, when they started adding actual cutscenes and having a storyline, that was pretty cool and innovative, and I'm glad they did it, and I don't mind them still doing that now. But I should be able to skip the cutscenes. They shouldn't really hold too much weight on like how my player progresses and what I do on the actual field. Like at one point 2K made it to where you had to be an undrafted free agent, and it's like, dude, I don't want to do that. I want to get drafted. And in 2K17, I remember specifically, they didn't let you skip the cutscenes until you got through the whole story once. So I was literally forced to watch these cutscenes, and some of them were like 5 minutes long. Like I was sitting there for several minutes watching these cutscenes, and I would just end up sitting on my phone because I didn't care. And it's like, dude, I just want to play the game. So I never ended up even finishing the storyline. Like I couldn't get through the whole thing. So I don't want to just complain the whole time because like I said, I think the storyline and the cutscenes are cool and innovative, but I should be able to skip them. And again, they shouldn't have like too much bearing on my player, or there should be like different paths I can take within the story. So maybe it's more engaging instead of just, making me sit there and watch a movie basically. So maybe it's a hard ask because on one hand, I want Road to Glory to be pretty straightforward and simple. Like, I go to practice, I play the games, I do well, I level up. But I also want to see advanced features that makes the game more rewarding. Maybe I can unlock certain equipment. I think the position battles were really good back in NCAA 14. I would love to see that back. But I would love to also see it like more challenging to where it's harder to get recruited for some of these big schools. But essentially it's like make it more about what I'm doing and my play, and not about some predetermined storyline. So we'll have to see what EA does with Road to Glory. That's obviously like a fan favorite. I love Road to Glory. I love getting in there and leveling up my player, winning the Heisman, winning the national championship, whatever it is. I just don't want it to like make me commit to like some tiny school or make me be a 5-star. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't want some predetermined story. Like imagine EA just removed the high school season that you had like in NCAA 14 and 13, and instead they're just like, hey, you're a 5-star, commit to one of these schools. Now, I don't think they'll do that, but EA definitely doesn't have the best track record. It wouldn't totally surprise me if they did something like that. But I'm hoping it's the complete opposite. Like, hey, maybe you get to play 2 years of high school now, or maybe you get to play all 4 years of high school. And hopefully the transfer portal will be in there so you can commit to, Kennesaw State, ball out, and then transfer to Ole Miss. I just really hope they don't mess up one of my favorite game modes. So that is number 3 on what I'm worried about. I probably should have ended on what I was excited about so it wasn't such a depressing ending, but I am super excited for this video game. I think it is going to be good. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a Madden reskin. If it sucks, it's because it's going to suck on its own and not because it's anything like Madden. But I think this game's going to be good. I really do. So I'll end the video there. This was more of like a discussion video instead of, breaking news or whatever. So definitely put down in the comments what you're excited about, what you're worried about, your thoughts on what I said. Definitely follow on Instagram, bring NCAA back. I post everything there first, and I will see y'all in the next one.